the record buttons. And then send this to the other computer. And then click go live. Sounded wet over there.
Yep.
Gonna be a night.
Yep.
What's up, YouTube?
Hey, guys.
Doing something new. This is the first time that we've recorded an actual episode that's going to go onto podcast streaming services as well as added to a playlist that's not like a specialized thing. Mm-hmm. This is episode 7 of the side piece. We will be talking about co-parenting. Every time you hit your vape and that hits that light, it is so distracting, and the immature me is like, we are going to, we got an email from a patron subscriber who has, co-parenting questions. We were already going to make a side piece about this. So we are including an email from a patron subscriber to add to this. For those of you who are watching live on YouTube, normally we will interrupt for super chats. As they come through, we kind of just add that. I'm going to be minimizing the interruptions tonight so that we can actually record this and stick it on the streaming services. And then after we finish this, we will run through the super chats, and then we will be leaving the public live and creating a new live for Patreon subscribers and post it in Discord. So you guys will still get a private live tonight. It just means we're going to be live a little bit longer than normal, I think.
Yep.
I'm excited for this because it feels like we're doing something new and different, and that's exciting for me. So
see how it goes.
Yep. Let's real quick just remind everyone that if you listen on Apple or Spotify or any of the streaming services, there will be ads moving forward. We cannot monetize without that. So I know that it sucks and it's really annoying, but it doesn't cost you anything to listen to them. So please just bear with us while that happens. And we have blue light. Look at that. Oh, we're also still kind of sick, so you guys get to listen to that.
Breathe.
You were trying to be all sexy earlier and make like inappropriate comments to me, and I'm like, "Are you trying to kill me?" And you're like, "No, I'm trying to do you." And I'm like, "I can't breathe, woman."
Oh yeah, yeah. The devastation that I felt in that moment.
Yeah.
When I realized
that you were trying to kill me.
It's really just not feasible.
Yeah.
Soul crushing. Almost as bad as I'm taking away like the nacho fries at Taco Bell.
That bad, huh?
Yeah.
Wild. Excuse me. Do you have anything? Oh, other housekeeping. We sold our last extra large blah, blah, blah communication t-shirt today, which means we are running low on all of those shirts. And the Have You Checked In Lately shirts are still fairly stocked. But if you're trying to get a t-shirt and you've been waiting, you might want to jump on that. tobebetter.co.
Then there will not be a restock of these.
No, never.
Maybe in a year. Or for like an anniversary.
Or a decade, like pulling it out of the vault.
Yeah.
I don't think a year's long enough.
No.
Nope.
Let's make them wait for it.
Yeah. It's also, for you guys who are not familiar with the website, we have added the download links for the check-ins PDF. Thank you, Luca, if you're even in here. And the book list, thank you, Zeke, for putting that together. That's now on the website as well. And as we update those, because of the way it's linked, it'll just automatically update the lists. So for anybody that's looking for self-help books or any of the BPD books that we've discussed, they are on that list, tobebetter.co. It's on the download section. And it's all affiliate links so that we'll actually get a kickback for doing the work for you.
That's so neat.
Yep. Love that.
Hell yeah.
You want to talk about some co-parenting, how important that is?
Yeah.
You want to just jump into the email and then have a discussion?
Yeah, let's see where
All
it
right.
goes.
I love it when you do your hair like that.
Yeah.
The little strands in the front, and then now you've added that back there.
Yeah. The poofiness.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I'm glad.
I'm gonna grab a cough drop real quick.
Okay. You need to keep telling me the things that you like that I do with my appearance. Because after all, I am here for your gaze. I aim to please.
All right.
Do you like those ones?
I don't know. I haven't had them yet.
Oh.
Literally just opened that bag.
It has like a little soothing drop of something in the center.
Yeah, I'll give you a soothing drop of something in your center.
The fuck up.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. These microphones are so good.
That sounded amazing.
Almost ate the plastic.
That's
Okay.
what you get.
I'm ready.
Okay. My boyfriend, who is 25, had a beautiful baby boy at the very unripe age of 16.
Okay, pause. I'm sorry. Every time we get an email that starts with my boyfriend, my brain goes, it's back and you're going to be in trouble. Hey, nah, hey, nah. Every freaking time. I can't, I just wish I could turn that off
Yeah.
and then turn it back on when it needs to be on. That is how my brain works 24/7.
I get that.
It's so stupid.
See, mine didn't go that route. So my mind went boyfriend. I was like, well, what does a boyfriend have? Mine went girlfriend, right? And I was like, hey, you, I don't like your girlfriend.
And this is why we're together.
We're so fun. We should have a disco. Let's go roller skating.
We can.
Hell yeah. I want to rent it out, though. I don't want to be around people.
Yeah, I don't either.
So this was in 2014 with a girl who was also 16. So flustered. But at the time, he says he never even planned on dating. So we did email this person back and they gave us answers, so we go a little bit more in depth with things. So we asked for clarification. And it says, to him, it was a smash and dip. For her, it was always more than that. She had feelings from the beginning, and they lost their virginity to each other. So there was a lot more emotion invested from her than there was from him.
Okay. We can absolutely address that in a minute, but I know what's next.
Okay. Being the man that he is, though, he gave it a shot and tried to make it work so that they could have a family together. Some things just aren't meant to be, though, and they created a very toxic dynamic. I'm talking, she tried to run him over with a car. He constantly cheated on her with her friends, broke up and came back several times, kind of toxic.
That's where I want to pause.
Okay.
So there's a sentence in that entire thing that has me really hung up. And it's, he tried to make it work because that's the kind of man he is. He was a 16-year-old kid,
Right.
not a man. First and foremost, he's a fucking child.
Yeah.
So is she. You shouldn't be having babies when you're kids. It happens, I understand that, but that should be avoided until you're financially responsible enough to raise a child and emotionally mature enough to be a good parent, right? He cheated on her repeatedly.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of man he is. Because that's the way she's worded that. So now we know that he is a 16-year-old child who was trying to hit it and quit it on a one-night stand, knowing that she had emotions and feelings for him. He took advantage of the situation. She got knocked up and then tried to make things right and continued to abuse that woman by cheating on her and being a toxic piece of shit, who then, in response, almost got ran over by a car. Is that where we're at in all of this?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can tell you've put thought into that.
I don't like it when somebody calls somebody a man
Right.
that does not deserve that. Because you can be a male or be of the male persuasion and be a fucking bitch. And a man title is earned. That's a symbol of respect for me. Like I don't,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that he's that. I don't know him personally. At 16 years old, you're a child. So you're not actually a man yet anyways. But yes, I put thought into that.
I would have phrased it as that's the man he's turned into. That's the man he's become.
Or
like,
the man he wanted to be.
Yeah.
I mean, but he wasn't a man yet. At 16, you're a child.
Phrasing matters.
Before you continue, I said that we weren't going to do a lot of interruptions, but we did get a $100 super chat. I have to interrupt
Holy
for that.
shit.
And it's from somebody I don't know and have never seen.
Okay.
Jay Latstetter Clayton. Shout out to my wife, Mindy Latstetter. She's sitting next to me. Just want to say how much she is appreciated and loved.
Stop.
So, in case you missed Thursday night's live chat, where we talked about receiving gifts as a love language, if hers is receiving gifts, bro, 5-star.
Like, holy shit.
I need to write you a Google review because you nailed that. That was good.
That was good. I want to know her reaction.
Same.
That was so cute. How many people are watching? How many people just heard that?
We were at 166 when he updated me.
That's crazy. I love that for her.
That's cool, right?
That's really cool, yeah. In the beginning of them trying to work it out, he decided that dropping out of school to take care of the baby so she could finish high school and get her CNA was the best decision for their family. But this left him with few options in his head, and he turned to drug dealing.
I can see that.
Well, I'm going to pause.
Okay.
He dropped out of school to take care of the baby because that was the best decision for their family.
That he thought.
Did they not have a babysitter? Like,
there's a blurb about that. I don't know if it's
Okay.
right there or not, but there is another one about that. It might be a little bit down, but I specifically asked that.
It's literally the next sentence.
All the bold print
Okay.
thing in that is her response to me so that I could fill in the blanks of the email so that I could understand what was going on.
Full disclosure, I had some concentrate before this.
Oh, no.
They lived separately with their own families. She came from money and had a reputation to uphold, so having him live with her would have been shameful at the time. Oh, so she's bougie.
Right, but if she's bougie, then why didn't she have a babysitter to help her finish school?
To help him finish school. Because he dropped out.
Right, that's his choice.
Yeah.
If she came from money and they were not living together, they could have found means, daycare, something for her to have finished school. At our age, with our finances, if our daughter was a teenager who got knocked up and there was a baby that we had to grandparent, our daughter is finishing school. I don't give a fuck how that has to play out. So there's scenarios outside of that
Right.
that these people are living and living with led examples of. I don't think that should have been an option.
Yeah.
Or an excuse to drop out. If you want to drop out, drop out. Just don't make excuses about the
Right.
shit. I didn't want to be there, so I quit going. Sold dope instead. Own it.
Yeah. He comes from an adopted family with 10 other siblings, so life and money wasn't the easiest to come by, even though his parents did well enough to support their children and did their best to help support the child and their relationship. But dealing with the toxicity that they brought into their home, it was hard for them to live together.
And I'm willing to bet that's why he started selling dope.
These are really long sentences, and with my clogged up.
Yeah.
Okay. Support the child in the relationship. Okay, so when they were together, it was just toxic.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was like that before the baby arrived.
They weren't together before she got pregnant. It was a one-night stand, or should have been.
Well, they lost their virginity to each other.
Right. Well, I mean, we didn't get that far to the email. You just jumped ahead. Did you actually read that out loud yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that was one of the first things.
I didn't hear it then.
She had feelings from the beginning, and they lost their virginity to each other.
Yeah, you're right. You're
so,
right.
Poltergeist. Okay. He left when he was 17 and stayed with the mother of his child off and on until he was arrested at 20. All right, so going back, that was in blurb inserted for information. So going back, he started drug dealing. Eventually, this caught up with him and he got arrested and sentenced to 5 years in state prison, but only served 3 for good behavior.
Okay.
This time in prison is what he says is the worst and the best thing that could have happened. He had time to sit with the things that he had done and realize that many of the things that he had done and said were worthless actions, and that he could do so much better and that he needed to learn how to be better. But on the flip side of that, he lost out on time with his child. With this realization came him paying the mother of his child all the money he had stolen. He stole $200 from her to leave to run to Texas due to his charges at the time, but came back shortly after and was arrested. Paid her his COVID payments to provide for their child, and worked on making amends with her for the sake of their child. He was released in June of 2021. Introduce me, 28, into the story. My boyfriend and I met through one of my family members and immediately hit it off in August of 2021. We kept in contact through Facebook as he lived a little over an hour away and we both worked full-time. He works on the water building piers Monday through Friday and only has weekends off, which makes his time back home, where all of his family and friends are, very limited.
I wonder if he got a trade degree or something while he was locked up.
Yeah.
Because he's a tradesman. If you're building piers, you're a tradesman. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just a laborer picking up trash at a job site. Not that that's really relevant to the email. It's just where my brain went.
I'm trying to figure out something, and you already got it handled, so I'm just going to keep reading. We talked for months, and he visited on the weekends that he was able to come visit with We talked for months, and he visited on the weekends that he was able to come visit when not with his son. We decided to make it official in December of 2021. So timeline, he's released in June. They meet in August.
Yep. Living together official by December.
By December, okay.
She was actually part of. Oh wait, never mind.
Okay. Here we are, a little over a year later, and thriving beautifully. The only hang-up in our relationship is the friendship that he has with his ex. I still live 20 minutes from his ex, which is why he moved in with me so he could see his child during the week after work if possible. He decided making a 45-hour commute. What?
45 minutes to an hour commute.
Oh, 45 minutes to an hour commute was better than only seeing his child Friday night to Sunday night.
Which is respectable.
Yeah. So he moved the hour to be with her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For the first 6 to 7 months of us knowing each other, my ex spent a lot of time depending heavily on his ex. Oh. That's where we got hung up last time.
Right. Her boyfriend.
The boyfriend, right.
Yeah, his ex.
For the first 6 to 7 months of us knowing each other, my boyfriend spent a lot of time depending heavily on his ex to take him back and forth to his house on the weekends, that he was able to see his son, as it took him a while to save to buy a car after paying the fees he owed the state, and paying the halfway house that he was living in, plus other bills.
Okay, before you move on, I want to explain the halfway house for people who don't get it.
Okay.
I don't know what state they're in, but there's normally an acclimation period to being on the streets after being incarcerated. So if he got 5 years and did 3, he probably, as part of his parole or his release conditions, was that he went to a halfway house. Halfway houses will give you points or a restitution thing that you have to pay, and you have obligations that you have to meet while living in that halfway house before they'll let you just hit the streets. Because if they let you go from prison to the streets, you don't have a job or a roof over your head, you're going to go back to doing what you do to make money. In his case, it would have been selling dope, and he had ended up right back in jail. So him being in a halfway house is actually a good thing. I don't know if he had to pay his restitution in order to get out of there, or if there was a point system, or how that works, because it depends on the state. But I mean, I've seen people stay in halfway houses for 2-3 years at a time.
Okay. I did not know that the first time you explained it, so that was a smart thing to do. So this is just background, right?
What? The black?
Talking about like the halfway house and whatnot.
It's relevant.
Current,
It's relevant.
but it's not current.
It's not current.
I work 6 days a week, and I normally am off only on a weekday, so me taking him wasn't an option very often. He lived in the halfway house for over a year, up until he moved in with me in November of 2022. He stayed for the length of time that he did because it was cheaper rent-wise, and he was only 10 minutes from his job. He was staying in hotels on the weekends he was visiting his son because he didn't have anywhere else to stay due to his family's house not having an extra space, as his sister and her daughter are living with his mom, and the mother of his child still lives with her parents.
I wonder how he was able to make that work at the halfway house to leave for a weekend, because you have to get furloughs. Like there's always conditions to your release, and they're never just like, here you go.
Right. I don't know what I just did, but like it zoomed in on everything. I can see it so much better. Technology's crazy, but I hate that my body's failing me. Disgusting. After the first 6 months of us dating, he decided that he was spending too much money on hotels and that he should just spend the weekends at my house and go visit his son from there. Which led me to having a conversation with his ex and deciding that she felt more comfortable with him having overnight or unsupervised visits with their son now that I was in their life, because she had a lot of trust in me and had seen how much he had changed since we had gotten together, and that he seemed to be a better dad too.
To which I was like, that sounds really weird that that's a thing. I need some context, and she gave it to us.
Okay.
Excuse me. We are getting to the point of the whole side piece thing, I promise, but this is relevant information.
The conversation with her was a very heartfelt one, and I wish I could explain more as to why she made that decision, but I honestly don't know myself. She tells him often that if it wasn't for me, that she wouldn't have let him stay with him at all, and he should be grateful. She doesn't have a lot of trust in him, even to this day, which also leads to the downfall of their communication. I can tell you why she feels that way.
Yeah.
Because they were in a very toxic, abusive relationship.
Right. I thought it was super weird that a new woman comes into the picture and all of a sudden she's willing to release the kid for the weekend. It doesn't seem...
There's a witness.
Right, but normally there's hostilities.
Right.
And jealousies and bitterness and backstabbing and court fees and like all kinds of stupid shit that happens when a new woman comes into the picture. The only thing that I can think of is that because he was in prison for 3 years and she's moved on with her life, he's having to redeem himself to her, which makes sense. Maybe she got over all that bitterness that she was going through when they were kids, and she's got her shit together now, and he's playing catch up.
Yeah. My perspective of that is, because they were in such a tumultuous relationship together, there was probably a fear there for her. Mm. And, if they're yelling and he's cheating and whatever is happening, there could be things being thrown, emotional, mental abuse.
Right.
Being a mom of a child, knowing that that's how their father is, there is certainly a fear there.
Right.
Knowing that I'm not there, I don't know what's happening. What if he's speaking to our son the way he spoke to me?
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
So having another woman there, especially a woman who, I wouldn't say majority of the time, but a lot of the time, women are going to be malicious towards stepchildren. They don't abuse their position, or they don't condone any abuse happening. But there's always that fear. So when a woman comes in, that's like, oh, okay, so someone's there. She's going to keep shit in line. She's not going to let him be out of conduct with the child. Okay. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Am I just repeating myself?
No.
Okay.
You proved your point. I heard it.
Life went on with him visiting on the weekends, and them both staying the night until we finally made the decision that he would have much more access to his son if he lived with me, and just made a longer commute to work. We are working on 6 months of living together, and things are going smoothly on our end. Okay, so they've been living together for 6 months.
Yep.
Okay. Time for the drama. For the first almost year of our relationship, the ex had a boyfriend that she swore was the light of her life and that she had never met anything better than him until she did find better and cheated on him. That gives me the ick.
Yeah.
Immediately, this became my boyfriend's issue to deal with. She needed his validation that what she had done wasn't wrong, and that the man leaving her was an overreaction, and that she could probably still win him back.
So she wanted the man who cheated on her to tell her that it was okay to cheat on another man.
Right.
Wow. I take back because I didn't read this part of the email. I saw that this is where the co-parenting thing started, and I stopped because I
Right.
didn't want to be, I didn't want to have a bias going into that. So I take back everything I said about her growing up and like moving past that and like getting her shit together because she clearly fucking doesn't.
Right. I am flabbergasted.
People are scumbags.
I hope he didn't say anything besides, no, you are wrong.
He's the greatest thing she's ever met until she met something greater and opened her legs to it.
I'm hoping he was like, this is crossing boundaries. I am uncomfortable. Don't do this again. I hope he said that.
I think that's why we're getting an email. Because that probably didn't happen.
I can be wishful. Like, hopefully it's something else.
Yeah.
She spent weeks going on and on about the man leaving her, and even called my boyfriend on Thanksgiving crying about how she was all alone and she couldn't get out of her car in her driveway because life was too hard. I'm processing a lot right now.
Okay, well then while you're processing that, I want to say a couple things.
Okay.
I was waiting until we got to the end of that so that we could just spit it all out, but
Okay.
excuse me. Co-parenting is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the dopest things that you can do if you cannot survive in a relationship. I muted me. Okay. It's one of the dopest things that you can do. You're still going to hear it. One of the dopest things that you can do if you're in a relationship, or not in a relationship with your child's parent, is to have a healthy, functioning co-parenting situation. When you are able to have holidays together and do kid graduations and play dates. My wife, ladies and gentlemen.
It's gotta stop it up. Or I'm just gonna sit here continuously blowing my nose. Too much jewelry going on there too.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you look like a tackle box. Ooh.
My biggest fear is magnets, guys.
So we are both very big advocates for that. The problem is that parents have a hard time getting past trauma and past hurt with each other, and the vindictiveness that comes along with it makes the co-parenting a very a very difficult thing for people to do.
Right.
So in this situation, just off of those two things, she shouldn't have contacted him about what's going on in her personal relationship because that's not a him problem anymore.
Right.
If the child was around that person, they should have had a discussion about it. But as to the details and the nitty gritties and her dumping the entire life, he should have been like, hey, I'm with this person. We are not together. Unless my child is in danger, your personal relationships are none of my business. I don't want to know about them. You're putting me in a predicament because now I have to go in and explain to whoever this was what this phone call just entailed, because I have an open policy of transparency with her because I don't want to fall in the same situation that you're currently in. The Thanksgiving Day thing, I would have answered the phone on Thanksgiving. Hey, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for calling me to tell me happy Thanksgiving. And the moment they started crying, I'd be like, did somebody die? No. Everything okay? No. Well, what happened? And then I find out that you're just upset because you're struggling in life. I'm not the one you need to be calling for that. I have somebody. It's been years since we've been together. And though we're cool, we're not that fucking cool. Like,
yeah,
there are boundaries.
There's blurred lines. And I think that's a lot of issues that we see in relationships where there's co-parenting going on, is that one of them acts like, well, we were together. You can still be my person.
Right.
That's not how it works.
You can still be close to people that you were with, especially somebody that you spent a lot of time with. And if that situation wouldn't have happened previously with the breakup and she called having a meltdown on Thanksgiving, I would have been more understanding and been on the phone. Like if that was somebody you very rarely talk to and they call and they're fucking freaking out, you listen because they're obviously in need of someone in the moment. It's good for you to be there, but not when they're showing you that there's other things in play. I don't think that this is just a clean cut. We're not together. I do believe that there's still some sort of feelings there, or she wouldn't have gotten so involved with I cheated on him, tell me I'm right, blah, 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 and then calling again on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. She's looking for that emotional validation from him.
And it's not even a matter of, like, I don't know how they obviously knew each other since they were kids.
Right.
But, like, there still needs to be boundaries had if he's in a relationship. If he was a single man and that was going on, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And you would think that since she's cool with the person who wrote the email, that there wouldn't be that respect would be there. Like, okay, he's obviously with this other person. I don't need to call him and bring my problems to his door. I'm just going to make waves in his house.
Right. I feel like doing it on a holiday especially is that's very tension seeking to me.
Yeah, especially on Thanksgiving Day.
Right.
It's dinner time. Like,
you know that I'm with her. We could be at her family's house, whatever's happening.
Yep.
You have your mom to call. You have your dad. You probably have siblings.
Yep.
Your female best friend.
Yeah. Anybody other than me?
Don't get me wrong, I sympathize with her as a woman, but at the same time, as the woman of the man you're calling to fix your problem, I was peeved. Yeah, I would have issues.
Right.
Yeah. I felt that if I wasn't in the picture, she probably would have tried to make a move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. My boyfriend did his best to coddle her when necessary because she is very manipulative and always turns to the classic phrases of, I was the one who had to take care of our son by myself for the past 8 years.
Oh, here we fucking go with that shit.
You have a lot to make up for the horrible things you did to me and him, and you owe me a lot.
I don't fucking owe you anything. We had a kid together.
Right.
You knew the type of person I was when you opened your legs. You knew that it was going to be a one-night stand. You decided to put out anyways. We have a child together, and I got locked up.
Yep.
I owe my child. I don't owe you a fucking thing. If you've gotten money and you've been getting child support and he's been helping you support the child, it sucks that he was in prison. He fucking lost out on time with his kid.
Yeah.
He lost out.
And he was doing that to provide for the family.
Right. While she's got a fucking bougie family that can help her support the child. He's, you know what I mean? Like, that you owe me mindset is fucking pathetic to me.
He owes the child.
He owes
Period.
the kid. Right.
Does your girlfriend know what kind of man you really are and how horrible you are in a relationship? So
that's extreme, like,
that's
manipulation. Yeah.
That really is. One person can be an absolute asshole in one relationship because of the actions. An action gets a reaction.
Right.
He can be a totally different man to the woman who loves him properly.
Yeah.
Don't be salty because you weren't the one. That definitely is, I'm trying to ruin your relationship.
Right. Because she's hurting in the moment. She's emotionally immature. There's a whole lot of problems in that chick's head.
Yeah. You're lucky I'm so nice to you and don't take you to court for child support, and I'm only asking you to pay for his extracurriculars. Extracurriculars. Ooh, that's a hard one. I could be a bitch since you owe me so much. I would take her ass to court.
I would just tell her to take me. Go ahead and do what you got to do.
Yeah, let's go.
I would rather have everything documented in contracts of what I have to do so that I don't have to deal with that shit. Because that holding things over my head is not going to work for me.
I don't play games. And you know, going to court, say they don't have a lot of money, he might get the shaft of this. And that's going to really suck and it's really going to hurt. One day his son is going to grow up and he's going to see all the little games that his mother played against his father.
Right. Well, that child will see what that mother is anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of if the dad's in the picture or not. Because that type of behavior is going to be given to the child. That kid's going to go through the exact same thing that dad's going through.
Yeah.
I promise you, that behavior is not going to be limited to just the dad. There's also, if she's, I don't know what she does for a living, but let's say she makes like an average of $35,000 a year and he's an under the table worker because he's a felon.
Right.
And she takes him to court, it'll appear that he doesn't have a job. They'll court order him to get a job and he'll have to find like a real job. And if he gets a minimum wage job, she's not going to get a whole lot of money.
Right.
They were never married. She'll get back pay, maybe, but he was in prison. So like that, I don't even know how that would work. I don't know. I would get everything contractually agreed, even if it's through like a lawyer system, like when she's having a good day and have contracts drawn up. So like you guys have an agreed upon payment amount that is documented through lawyers so that if she ever does take him to court, he can go, there you go, Your Honor.
Right.
There's our agreement with our child.
he also needs to get documentation showing that he paid her back the money he stole and that he gave her his COVID money.
Well, yeah. That won't matter. That won't matter. The only way that those things matter is if you do it with a money order and you have the receipt for it.
Yeah.
Or a cashier's check, not a money order.
These words take a huge toll on my man since he has worked so hard to change the person that he was since going to prison. And everybody around him talks about how different he is. So when he comes to me almost in tears because of her constantly throwing his past in his face, it just doesn't sit right with me. Her communication skills are horrible. She doesn't answer messages or phone calls right away, and waits until the last minute to coordinate things. And if things aren't going the way she wants them, she throws a massive fit and goes back to degrading him.
Yeah.
You don't have to be on the phone with her.
You don't have to tolerate any of that shit.
You really don't.
He's making a choice to interact with her.
For a very, I would say for probably about 2.5 years, me and my kid's father had a very strict, we only talk about the children.
Right.
That's because neither of us could handle speaking to one another.
Right. There's no reason for us to be involved.
Right. So I would text him how the kids doing when the kids are there. Kids are doing good. He would send me photos and that was it.
Right.
And vice versa. We would do nighttime phone calls, tell the kids good night. All right, talk to you later. Hanging up. Nothing discussed besides the children.
Right.
I would implement that with her.
Right. That's not co-parenting. This isn't co-parenting.
No, this isn't co-parenting.
What is happening here is he's a weekend warrior because of the mother doing what she's doing. Co-parenting is when you guys have like a unified front with the children. And in a lot of cases, it's a 50-50 split. And when it's not, it doesn't have to be just the weekends. You get off of work and you got time on Wednesday to come and get the kid, you're going to come get the kid. Like it is about parenting, not being a babysitter. And that's how that is if you're a weekend warrior. You're not being a dad. If you get to see your kids once a month or twice a month, you're not being a dad. You're being a babysitter so mom can go out. I don't know. I got a lot of opinions on that.
Well, they can't just go straight to co-parenting with how she's acting.
No, I agree with that 100%.
So the first step I would say is implement the we talk about the children period.
I get a contract. I would get a contract. I would get a lawyer. The chick's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah,
I would get a
is.
lawyer.
I would stop answering her phone calls. I would answer the phone. I would say, "What's going on with our son? Son's fine," and she divulges off into whatever she's doing. No, we're not doing this.
Right.
Thank you for letting me know our son's okay. Talk to you later. Hanging up.
Yep.
Not waiting for a response. Not waiting for a fuck you. And if she wants to blow up the phone after that with text messages, put her on silent.
Yep.
You have choices here. And you guys, if she's going to implement her, well, I have money, I'm going to get a better lawyer than you. You guys can go to court. The judge is going to see her behavior.
Right.
If you guys have text message strings where she's holding the child over your head,
Right.
or she's threatening you because you don't want to talk to her about her emotional state and she's threatening to take the child away or take you to court, take that to court.
Yeah. You also want to keep a journal of everything that's going on so that you have it all logged.
Yeah.
Just in case it gets nasty, you have proof. And saving those emails or text messages like that, it works as well. That kind of crazy shit is just going to hurt the child, though.
It really is.
I want to have an actual discussion of what co-parenting looks like when you're done with this.
When they are okay, she sends him TikToks and tries to engage in conversation about her life and ask about his and carry on conversations because they have an amazing friendship, in her opinion. And she wants him to know about her sexual relationships, the guys she's talking to, and what she's doing when she's out and about.
That shit's all over the line. That's way crossing boundaries that you're not supposed to cross.
For a while, my boyfriend...
Hold on.
Well, I want to read this next sentence.
Okay.
For a while, my boyfriend tried to maintain most of these conversations with her simply to appease her so she doesn't take his kid away from him. But after seeing how often she messages him after moving in, I finally put my foot down. It was getting to a point where he was trying to maintain conversations with her while trying to spend time with me and his child all of the time.
I feel like that borders cheating.
That is cheating, in my opinion. He doesn't need to know what's going on in her sex life.
Right.
He can shut that down. Is he willing to jeopardize the relationship he has now to appease the mother of his child because she's psychotic?
Right.
That fear is real. the fear of I will never see my child again. She's going to
Right.
hit me with all this money and I can't keep up.
Right. The problem with that, though, is it's a fear tactic. And
It
a
is
lot
a
of
fear
that is the
tactic.
fear of the unknown, because you start panicking, thinking of, God, what if, what if, what if, what if? Until that shit actually starts to happen, you panicking and fearing that is nonsense. You're allowing a what if scenario to dictate your emotional, and that creates a whole lot of problems and stress, and it can actually lead to health issues. That scenario, that's a crazy scenario, and they need to go to court. They need to have lawyers, and they need to actually get this shit all hashed out so that everything is documented and they have plans. And he doesn't need to be engaging with her on any level other than a kid.
No.
You can be friends with somebody. I have a lot of friends. I'm not listening to their sex life.
Yep.
If any one of my friends were like, hey, you want to hear about me? And no, I fucking don't, bro, because I don't want to know what you're doing in the bedroom. I don't care. And if I'm friends with both of them, I really don't want to know, because I don't want to have those thoughts while I'm talking to one another. Like,
Right.
your personal life is your personal life. Keep that shit personal. Why do other people need to know what you're doing in the bedroom? Unless you're on OnlyFans and you're making money off of it. And if that's the case, brag about the money, not the act.
I'm glad she put her foot down on it because I wouldn't accept that either.
Yeah.
Doing too much. I told him that if there wasn't a child involved and he was still talking to an ex like that it would raise suspicion. So I felt that those same reasonings applied to this also.
I agree.
Yep, I agree. He has, for the most part, stopped engaging in her conversations, doesn't react to videos she sends him, and tries to only talk about their son when she isn't telling him that he isn't hateful for not trying to be her friend.
How old did he say? Did she say he was?
She's 28. Let's see. He was 14. He was 16 in 2014.
So he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
So he's young still. And he spent 3 years of his adult life in prison. So what would have constituted as 3 years of engaging in sexual activity and dating and having a life, he was behind bars,
Right.
being taken care of and told what to do. So there's 3 years of his life that he has a lack of societal maturity. And I don't know if that's actually the right way to phrase that, but that's what I'm going to go with.
Right.
We're getting somebody place an order. I'm getting low alert stocks. So he has that 3 years, and a lot can happen in 3 years, especially when you're in your 20s. And if you're not in a committed relationship with someone in your 20s and you're jumping from person to person to person, you're learning a lot of do's and don'ts, a lot of failures, a lot of, jobs. There's a lot of things that happen in your early 20s that you have to navigate through that he didn't have to do, that he's now doing as an older adult. So in that scenario, there is a lack of things that he is, a lack of knowledge of things that he should be doing, like the boundaries, the TikTok thing. Like, she shouldn't be sending him TikToks. I could understand if it was like, if they shared a love for cars and she's sending him car TikToks because he loves cars and they had that as a common thing. That's a friendship thing. That's fine.
Right.
But if she's sending him like the love of my life TikToks or like romantic shit on TikTok, that's a fucking problem, because the content that you're being sent matters.
Yeah.
I don't know. That whole scenario makes me uncomfortable, and I'm not in it. And I feel like he's allowed a lot of this to happen purely because he doesn't have the contracts in place to make sure that he still has access to his kid.
Right.
And you can't keep a parent from a child. Legally, you can't do that.
Right.
So even if she tried to keep her kid there, he could then go to court and be like, she's keeping my child from me. None of it's going to be easy. So no matter what you do in terms of the court system and lawyers, that shit's always a fucking mess. It costs a lot of money, but when it's all said and done, it's fucking worth it, because that can never be hung over your head again. She can't say she owes you anything, because if you did, it would have been, dictated through the court system. I don't know. That's not co-parenting, though. There's nothing there that says co-parenting.
No,
that says a whole lot of fucking boundary crossing.
It's a lot of things. It's manipulation. She's being vindictive. He doesn't have a backbone. He's letting her walk on him. Like, it's too much going on. She is fear mongering. Is that the word?
The woman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. She's guilt tripping him,
Yeah.
playing the victim, and absolutely using fear to manipulate him.
Okay.
And that's the fear of the unknown. That's the shit I'm talking about. When people get anxiety because of a what if scenario, or they get emotional, or they get afraid like that, it's because they don't know the outcome, and they hear all these horror stories and they think the worst case scenario. And until you're actually in that worst case scenario, there's no reason to fear that shit. Because if it's going to be the worst case scenario, it's going to be that way either way. I would rather that worst case scenario happen right fucking now and me have to navigate that and get through it than live in 10 years fearing that that's going to be the case,
Right.
and then having to go through it. Because somebody like that, if that child's 8 years old, they're still 10 years before they move out into the real world as an adult. And if they decide to go to college, that child support can be had through college. And he could have to pay for half that schooling. There are scenarios where people didn't have to pay child support until the child was 15, 16 years old, and then had to pay back pay for 15 years of the child's life, and are making amends to the mother way after the child's an adult and has moved on. It happens. It's better to take care of that shit early so that there's no fucking
Right.
pittance that has to be paid later. I'm going to real quick read a super chat.
Okay.
Audrey Couture, I love your content. Thank you for all of this. It was a $50 super chat.
Hell yeah.
So we appreciate those
Thank you.
a lot. A lot.
A lot.
Buddy.
My question for you guys is, where do you believe that co-parenting ends and friendship begins?
That's not co-parenting.
That is not co-parenting.
That's manipulation, fear-mongering, as you put it. That's just manipulation. She's guilt tripping him to get the things that she wants, and because he's afraid he's caving.
So my kid's dad and I
co-parent.
We co-parent. We'll call each other like outside of really not even outside of the children. I have never once called him and said, "Hey, how's your day going?"
Right. It's always about the kids.
Or
something to do with the kids.
Right. That's never happened. If I call him, it's because, hey, just to let you know, son has a doctor appointment Friday.
Right.
Daughter's sick, fever of 101. Wow. Yeah, that's it.
Right. You guys are co-parenting.
And text messages are never just initiated of, hey, hope you're having a good day.
Right.
What are you up to? It's always, how are the kids doing?
Right. Now, the on the same side of that is the co-parenting that you have with his woman.
Yeah.
Is beyond just the, hey, how's your day going? You guys have actual conversations in terms of friendship, and that's where that bond comes in.
Yeah.
And him and I are cool. So like when holidays come around and the four of us want to sit down and have a holiday with the children, and now there's 4 parents and 2 children, and we're doing our thing, kids have the whole family together and are being loved as kids are supposed to be loved without conflict.
Yep.
Or having to be taken from one house to the next house to the next house to the next house to just try to meet with all the family. Like that's not healthy for a child.
Right.
Could you imagine, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this, but could you imagine opening your gifts, or pretend you're opening your gifts on Christmas Day and you got all the things that you wanted at one of your parents' houses, and you were so stoked to play with your toys or to play your new video game, and you just want to indulge in the moment of being a kid, only to be told, hey, pack your stuff up. You're going to the other parent's house for the rest of the night to have dinner and open your gifts over there. What if the other parent doesn't have the same kind of living situation, or the money's fucked up, or you know what I mean? Or like there's no friends over there and there's no one to play with, and the entire world is different at the other parent's house. You go from having your home life ripped out of your fucking hands as a child and being forced to go do something that you probably don't want to do because you would rather be playing with your toys.
Right. Because,
the parent wants that time with the kids. And I'm not saying that the parent shouldn't want the time, but if you can go, okay, Christmas is falls on a Wednesday this year, so Tuesday night, I'm going to come by and you can take the kids to the park, and Jasmine and I are going to load all the shit in the back of the car, and I'll take it to the house, and we can have all the presents wrapped, and then you guys can come to the house tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We'll be awake and ready, and the kids can come in, and Santa came to the house. You guys can open all the gifts. They can take all their shit home at the end of the night. That way they're taking an abundance of their gifts with them, and they can stay here all day long.
Yep.
They can play in the massive yard instead of in an apartment complex, and like we can have dinner, and we can have adult conversations and talk about whatever.
Right.
And they have a loving, enduring household the entire day until they're ready to go home.
Yep.
That is so much fucking healthier than the first scenario.
It really
That's
is.
co-parenting.
That's co-parenting.
It's not, hey, how's your day going?
Right.
It's not, hey, you look good in that dress.
It's not, my date was a disaster, here's why.
Yeah, that's not necessary. There's no reason for that.
It's inappropriate. What is an appropriate conversation to be had? Anything involving the child.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that if you are able to remain friendly, if you had a long relationship with somebody, they were 16 years old. They had a one night stand and tried to make it work. As
Right.
in reality, you didn't have a history with that person.
No.
There's no reason to have those kind of conversations and to try to be that friend. You need to let him see his kid. He needs to see the kid and needs to be civil towards you.
She still has feelings for him.
Absolutely does. I agree with that 100%. You
Yeah.
can tell by the way she gets psycho with shit.
Yep.
But for somebody like you were married
Yeah.
to your kid's father. So if he was to go, I just had a really fucking hard day at work and I need to vent and I don't want to do it to my woman because I don't want her to look at me as less of a man. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job, or, hey, what do I need to do to tell my boss that I need more money? Give me some advice. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because you have a rapport with them. You had a life with them for years before you decided to move on.
Right.
That's normal, healthy communication because you know those people in and out. You know their mannerisms. You know the way they talk. You are helping them. And in the event that you have the same thing going on, you might be able to do that. Having that closeness to that extent is going to make the co-parenting a whole lot easier because in the event that he got laid off, he could be like, yo, I lost a job. I need you to take the kids this weekend, even though it's my time with them so that I can go look for work.
Yep.
You'd be like, okay, cool, I got you. And then when you're like, hey, I want to go on vacation with Chris, he'd be like, okay, how long are you guys gonna be gone? Oh, we're gonna be gone for 2 weeks. Okay, I'll take the kids. Not a big deal. Like, because you have that it's co-parenting.
Right.
I don't understand where that breakdown comes in and how people can skew that and manipulate that to make that a bad thing, because co-parenting is a beautiful thing. When parents get along,
Yeah.
kids thrive. Our kids have the exact same fucking setup at their dad's house as they do here.
Yep.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that. There's always a toxic situation. It's obviously there are people who have what we have. I get that. But I've never experienced that in life. There's always one person that's doing worse financially than the other one, or there's a drunk or a drug addict or, somebody that sleeps around and
Right.
screaming and yelling and kicking in doors, and like, they don't have that. Those kids have the same structure here as they have there.
Yep.
And they have the same dynamic relationship that we have. So there's not a craziness in rules. And you guys, hey, kids got grounded. Okay. What did you take from? Oh, they can't have TV until Thursday. Okay, well, it's Sunday, so they get no TV until Thursday. Got it.
Yep.
And those rules are adhered to. Like it is about taking care of the children. And in that scenario, if the kids aren't involved, you don't need to be involved with those people.
Right.
Like if you didn't have kids with your ex, would she be calling you and doing that like you said in the email?
Yeah. When my kid's father and I text each other, it always starts off with the kids.
Right.
He might say something stupid, or I might say something stupid. It's funny. We'll have like a moment. It's a 5-minute interaction.
Right.
We never have prolonged texting throughout the day from morning till sunset. Like, that doesn't happen.
No.
Phone calls are maybe 2 to 5 minutes. I think the longest conversation on the phone I've had with him in the last 5 years is maybe 25 minutes.
Right.
And it's because there was something going on with the school and we had to coordinate that. And then for 10 minutes, he bitched about work.
Right.
That was it.
And that's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have prolonged conversations. There's never a back and forth. We're not sending each other TikToks.
Right. Those long conversations as kids get older and there's now after school activities.
Right.
You want to coordinate if your kid is getting ready to get a belt in a martial arts school, or can you make it on Wednesday night because there's cheerleading practice and she really wants you to be there even though it's our night to take them. You know what I mean? Like, those are conversations that need to be had. And then if you can't do it, you can either explain to the child if they're old enough, or they can explain to the child, and like, you guys just go about doing your thing. I don't understand why people feel like they need to have that access to you, especially if you're in a relationship. If you've moved on, you lose that.
Yeah, she still has that sense of ownership over him because they have a child together.
Yeah, because she feels like he owes her.
Right. And do you believe that I am navigating this wrong because I personally don't have a child and I'm learning how a dynamic like this works? No, you have your boundaries.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tolerate that.
I'm curious if they've actually sat down and like laid out the expectations of how this has worked, and if boundaries are actually like set.
Right.
Because them having conflict over the way she feels is a lot different than laying out what is and what is not acceptable, because again, he missed 3 years of social maturity. So he's going to think differently about things than she is. I mean, that's going to happen anyways, because a man and a woman don't think the same, but he's going to be behind what she has experienced because of it. So life experiences are going to dictate the way he handles things. And if that fear is there, that's also going to dictate things. I think that first and foremost, they need to sit down and determine what is and what is not acceptable, and what is where their the boundaries are. I kept wanting to say borders.
I mean, it's the same.
That's where you start. I don't want you to have phone conversations with her about sexual activity. I don't want to have, the TikTok thing is fine if it's a hobby. If it's, inappropriate in nature, it's not funny. It's not okay. The long phone conversations about what's going on in her life is not necessary unless it has to do with the children.
Yeah.
That's where all of that needs to start. It needs to be very cut and dry. It needs to be children only until you guys get past all this vindictive nonsense, and then slowly implement a friendship and allow that to build.
Yeah.
That's really how I feel
Yeah.
like that needs to start. But I don't think that anything's going to change until the two of you sit down and you express to him what is and is not acceptable to you.
Yeah.
It's also important to remember that just because kids are involved doesn't mean that you don't get to have boundaries. If something's happening and it's bothering you, it's not your fucking kid, it's his. Mm-hmm. And you're not responsible for their past. You are a year into a relationship with this dude, or almost 2 years into a relationship with him. So, obviously things are working and you guys are making it work. But if these boundaries aren't had now, and that line continues to be crossed over and over and over again, what's going to happen in 5 or 6 years when you're now there's open animosity because you have issues with the way he's dealing with things, and it's just gotten worse because she's manipulating the situation.
Yeah.
That shit needs to be nipped.
I agree.
So how do you feel the best way to go about starting a co-parenting with somebody? Because like I said earlier, whenever there is a breakup or a divorce, there is always going to be bitterness and hurt.
Just strictly talk about the children. People right after a separation are always going to be in their emotional mindset.
Yeah.
So there will never be a problem solved. It's going to be, I'm blaming you for everything. This is why you hurt me. You need to admit you fucked up. That's not conductive or, I want to say progressive conversation. It's not. Why waste time on dwelling on something when you guys aren't even trying to work it out anymore?
Right.
It's happened. It's done. We've separated.
Right. And that's actually a conversation that needs to happen.
Yeah.
I understand that you're hurt and you're going through what you're going through, but we're not together anymore, and I don't have to hear this.
Yep.
I know how you feel. You've told me. It's over with. I don't owe you anything at this point. I don't even have to sit here and listen to this. And on off topic, I understand the need, like the feel of control when you're married or you have a child. You have a sense of ownership over them, which is why people control their partners and not their friends, because your friends will leave. Like they're not adhered to you like that. So when you recognize that the things that you're doing is a controlling aspect, it's not just a normal, healthy, functioning relationship, you can dial that back. Mm-hmm. But when you realize as a person in a conflict that you don't owe them conflict, it's a lot easier to just put your phone down.
Yep.
I don't have to.
I'm not doing this.
You want to yell? Click. Do not disturb. Yep. I'll look at my phone while there's 200 phone calls on there.
I'll watch it ring every time.
Yeah.
I'll start pushing the end button so I'm sending you to voice.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I'll get to that. Somebody asked a relevant question to the conversation and he sent it to me, so it will help the dialogue. Okay. Which I appreciate. When you realize that you don't owe anyone anything in those conflicts like that, it is a very different conversation. Because a lot of that, like you said, is just about them being heard and being hurt and wanting that validation or wanting to make you feel like they feel, right? It's revenge mentality. I'm hurt, so you're going to hurt too.
Right.
No, I'm really not. I've processed my shit. You're still processing your shit, and until you do, I can't help you. I have nothing for you. Is it my time to come get the kid? Because if so, I'll be there in 15 minutes. But I'm not going to do this when I get there. And if it's going to be a problem, I'm going to call the non-emergency police office number and be like, hey, I'm supposed to go get my kid. from my mom, from my daughter's mother's house or my son's mother's house. And it was conflict on the phone before I got there. And I just want to make sure that when I get there, I'm not going to get attacked or have my son kept from me or whatever the case may be. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Can you have an officer meet me there? Mm-hmm. They will.
Yep. And if she wants to threaten, I'll take you to court if you don't comply with X, Y, and Z, and it's inappropriate demand.
Just get a fucking lawyer.
Okay, I'll take you to court. I'll call a lawyer.
Yep.
I guarantee if he hits her with, okay, I'll get a lawyer, her tone's going to change.
I was just about to say that. 85-90% of the time, that court threat shit is just a threat.
Yeah.
If she was really going to take him to court and be that vindictive woman, it would have happened already. Yeah. Right. Not 10 years later. So the question was, introducing potential new partners with your co-parent, when to do it and how. That's touchy. Because if you are still in conflict, like we were just talking about, and you meet somebody new, good, you're good. You might come through mine, but you're better. I hate it. I know. It's crazy because we feel physically good.
Yeah, it's just
the sinuses is just the sinuses. If you're in that moment of conflict still and having those problems, and a new person comes in and you start dating them, that hurt is going to be amplified. They moved on because in their head, they think that fighting with you and creating that dialogue is going to get you to somehow go, oh, wait.
It's going to pull you back.
You're right. Let's be together.
Right.
If you're treating me like shit and we're screaming and yelling and arguing and fighting because you're hurt, I don't want anything to do with you. The fuck out of here. I don't want to answer the phone. I don't want to deal with shit. And now there's a kid involved. I don't have a choice.
Yep.
So having that conflict is not going to make you appealing to me. It's going to make me hate you. Like truly hate you, where we could have had redeemable qualities and maintained a friendship. Now I despise you as a person.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, when you meet somebody new, you want to keep you shouldn't be meeting somebody and moving them right away anyways. And if there's kids involved, like you need to keep your kids away from your potential lovers until
for at least a year.
Yeah. You need to really know them.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what kind of people these are. Like, there could be like weird shit happening in the background that you don't know about. Kids could be getting touched. Like you really need to know somebody.
There are people who date single parents specifically to get access to children.
Right. It does happen. And it's sick as fuck, but it happens.
Don't introduce any child to anyone you're going to potentially date until you have been dating them for a year.
I know that single people get together, they swipe, they fuck a few times, they start dating and move in right away. We see it happen all the time. And then there's, they stay together for a year and things get really fucking tense. And then there's a huge, ugly breakup. And then there's the back and forth, for a while before they either commit or decide to end things, truly end things. The longer you court and date, the smoother all of that's going to go, because you're going to learn a lot about that person. And the longer you can go without sex, like fucking them before you actually initiate sexual things happening. My brain's not working. You're going to notice a lot more flaws because you're not stuck on the fact that the sex is good. So in that scenario, I agree. I agree. A year is a good time to even meet the kids. And if you shouldn't be living together in a year.
Right. That
should be a year or 2 years. I would say 2 would be better, but unless there's a financial reason or something like that, extreme circumstances, I understand. But when it comes down to them meeting the other people and like your ex meeting your new person, I think that this is the same with the kids. Like if you're going to have a weekend away, or you're going to have your new person come stay the night, a weekend that you have the kids, the other people need to meet them before the kids come and stay. Like, that's a courtesy.
Right.
And if you move in with them and you go get your kids and you're bringing them to a new house, I think it's also a courtesy that the other parent comes and looks at the house.
I agree with that.
It's not a big deal to it wouldn't have been a big deal for you to call your ex and be like, hey, I just moved in over here. Do you want to come? You actually did that.
I did do that. Yeah.
Do you want to come see their bedroom and the beds and meet him and make sure that you're happy with all of this whole thing? But he already knew me. Like, so there was no need for him to come and see the house and see all of that shit. But that's healthy. You're showing that you care enough about their opinion of what's going on, and that it is a good, healthy thing for the kids. Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't be like, hey, you want to come check out the house?
Even now, when I go and pick the kids up from their dad's house, they invite me in.
Right.
And I go in the kids' room and they show me all the new things in their room and their paintings on the wall and stuff. It makes the children feel like you're involved.
Right.
When they're at their dad's house or they're at their mom's house.
Yeah.
There's that excitement of, Mom, come see my bedroom here.
Right.
Look what I have going on here. This is my bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
That, again, though, that falls under a healthy co-parenting thing, because if you guys are just, if you are a delivery person for the kids in that moment and you're having a hard time and you pull up and say the kid's like 6 years old or 7 years old and you pull up and you're like, I'm in the driveway, and he just comes out to the car and you guys leave. What are you showing that kid? That you two mature adults can't fucking get along and interact? Like, you are subconsciously teaching this kid poor manners. Like, there's a whole lot of things that go into that. So I agree, a year at minimum to meet your kids and move in and do all of that. As to the how, I think dinner. I really like going out to eat, to have conversations with people. You are in a relaxed environment. You can have alcohol if you want to. You're in polite conversation. The chances of somebody getting overly obscene or obnoxious in a restaurant is slim, because even though they're getting frustrated, they're not going to scream and yell because they're going to embarrass themselves unless they're really that big of a piece of shit and they just don't think about it.
Right.
So in that scenario, I would have been like, okay, you're going to move in and I got kids, right? Let's play that game. And we've been dating for a year. And finally I'm like, hey, why don't you come stay with me? I really want to get serious and make a run for this. Let's see if we can make this work long-term. And I had a kid. I would then contact my ex and be like, hey, I've been seeing someone for a year. Kids haven't met him yet. I want them to, because they may be moving in. I would like the 4 of us or 3 of us to sit down at dinner. Would you like to go out to eat on Thursday night at 6:00 at this restaurant? You can meet them. You can have conversations. We can just kind of catch up and see how things are going, talk about the kids, whatever. Because then they can field questions and see how they feel about that person. She met the woman, and the woman was super happy that she was in the life. Right. It could have been a facade. It could have not. Who knows? But that's healthy. That is a good way to introduce anything, because you're going to see who this person actually is. You're going to actually, as the person there too, you're going to get to see the kind of person that the person was with before you guys got married or together. It's just a lot.
It is a lot.
What about schooling?
What about it?
Well, I mean, if you're co-parenting,
right,
assuming you're like doing a 50-50 split, because we have pick up and drop off. So like when they go to school on Thursday, we drop them off, and Thursday dad picks them up from school.
Right.
And like there's not like a backpack. We're not sending a backpack full of shit to dad's house. Dad is a dad.
Yeah.
He's not a weekend warrior. He has everything the fucking kids need there. So like there's not a time where he's like, you left we don't have shoes.
Right.
They have all of that shit. We have all of that shit. So like they have, and sometimes things get taken over and left, and things get left here, and that's co-parenting.
That's co-parenting.
The kids have a life and it's cohesive.
Yeah. I want to touch on that. Things go back and forth before you continue on. There are a lot of parents who play that I paid for it, it's staying in my household.
That's not co-parenting.
That's the child's toy.
Right.
If he wants to take it to dad's house, let your son take his favorite toy to dad's house.
Right.
Come on.
But in the event of co-parenting, yes. In the event that dad is a drug addict and things always get missing, or mom is a drug addict and things get missing, and like there's not a good environment in your core order to get that time no matter what, I can understand not sending the expensive things over there and doing that to an extent. But it is the kids. And when you start going, well, I bought that, your mom didn't. Now you are creating a negativity bias in the child towards the mother because the toy can't go over there. They don't understand money.
Right.
So you are essentially teaching your child that mom can't keep up with dad, or dad can't keep up with mom, and one of them is the villain, and they start to build resentment towards their parent. And they don't even understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So, that's actually a really good point. You know, we live about 40 minutes from them, depending on traffic.
So one way is about 20, 25 minutes.
Okay.
Traffic's 30 minutes. It's typically a round trip for me. Yeah.
Okay.
An hour round trip.
Right. Which is, it's a big deal. An hour sucks to be in the car, but it's really not that big of a deal.
Right.
If we got a call like, hey, you know, his homework was left in your truck. it sucks to have to spend an hour in the car, but is it really that big of a deal to put on the radio or put on an audiobook, drive over there, see the kids for a little bit, hang out,
Get Starbucks
drop the
on the way
homework
back.
off? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you get to see your kids
Yeah.
on a day that you would have otherwise not seen your kids. And that's co-parenting. You're not having hostility. There wasn't like, I can't fucking believe you forgot the homework.
Right.
It's, hey, little man's homework is in the back of your car. Can you drop it by? I don't have time to come get it. Or can we swing by and get it? Yeah. Bring all the kids. I'd like to see them for a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you guys eat dinner yet? No. Well, then bring the woman too. We'll fucking have dinner. I'll DoorDash. What do you guys want from B-dubs? Like, that's healthy.
Yeah.
And it's good for the kids. And it shows the kids that you can make mistakes. Because it's not, I can't fucking believe you did that. It's we're going to go have dinner at mom's house.
Yeah.
Grab your homework while we're there. You know that anxiety is a learned behavior.
Yeah.
ADHD, I don't know if you saw that Joe Rogan episode where the guy was saying that ADHD is a learned behavior. It's a behavioral trait, and it's something that can be learned and unlearned. That's a whole other conversation. But when that anxiety is instilled in you as a kid because you see your parents fighting over something that you did, like leaving a homework in a car,
right?
Every time you make a mistake, that anxiety is going to trigger. And at 6 years old, you don't know what anxiety is. So if you spill your drink, instead of just cleaning your drink up, you're going, oh my God, mom's going to fucking freak out or dad's going to freak out.
I keep yawning and my eyes are watering.
I was like, I know, what are you crying for? This is not a cry episode. But that anxiety in them is going to make them hesitate to do things or hesitate to tell you they did something wrong. And if your kid gets hurt and is afraid to tell you that they got hurt because of the way that you react to everything because of their anxiety, you are raising a fucking scary human being that doesn't know how to process shit because as a kid, they thought everything was a fucking problem because you can't co-parent. You can't just have conversations without screaming and yelling at each other.
Grow up.
It's crazy to me how people don't realize what their kids see in the small nuances of your life can affect your child.
Yep.
The screaming and yelling and things like that. Like we realized the other day that at 3, 5, 6 years old, it's hard for kids to understand a command.
Yeah.
You can't tell them, like put that down. They're not going to just drop it because you said put that down. It's got to register that you told them to put it down and why they have to put it down. But they understand the word stop.
Right.
So if they're about to do something that could get them hurt, you're not going to say don't jump. You're going to say stop because it's going to make them stop what they're doing. They understand that single word command and their brain is able to process in the moment what's happening.
I'm so over this. I hate it.
I can tell. That shit's funny. It looks like your nose has like a little cape for a doll stuck to it. Are you trying to shoot that out of there?
No, I wasn't. I was going to make it wave like a cape.
Oh. We are children.
Did it do it?
No.
Damn.
Nope.
I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. Just looks like I have a ghost.
Yeah.
You could say I have a boogie.
A boogie. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Dad jokes.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody in the chat have questions on co-parenting or anything that we did not cover that you think needs to be addressed to this topic? Because this is going to be in episode 7 of the side piece, and I would like to have external information being delivered to us via my iPad here from Zeke so that we can address it. So if you have that, send it. Send it.
I also want to know what you guys thought about that boogie joke. If you could let me know.
He did tell me that 173 people heard that super chat be read.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just inflammation in my nose at this point.
It could be. You want one of those? Not that it's going to help with your nose, but
No, thank you.
we've been jumping between 240 and 270 most of the night.
Crazy.
Not bad for
The members
unscheduled.
only.
Yeah, most of this is Patreon. I'm sure there are people from YouTube watching. I did see some people that were like, "This is my first live."
Wait, are we live
With
on
you guys.
YouTube or is this
No,
YouTube
we're live.
membership?
We're live.
Oh.
Yeah, it's to the public. When we're done, I'm gonna pull this off of here and go Patreon only. But because this is I felt like this was a good thing to do.
Huh.
That's what I was trying to explain to you while you were cooking dinner. You're like, "That's a great idea," and I'm like, "Okay, cool."
No, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. It's still a really great idea. Fantastic. Your brain's amazing.
A boogie joke has received an overall rating of 8.6.
Hell yeah. That's high.
Our group is there with little signs.
I love it. I wasn't expecting an 8.6. Dope.
Well, nothing has come through on the conversation of the co-parenting thing. You know, I am going to add a couple things because there's things that are prevalent to us. When you have that, after you get past that hurt and the inappropriate conversations and you become friends, you don't have those inappropriate conversations with friends.
Yeah.
That's not a normal thing. If like okay, we did get a question, but I want to finish my train of thought. You don't normally have inappropriate conversations like that with people of the opposite sex when you're in a relationship. You might, and if you do, there's normally like a sexual tension there, and you know it. You know that it's there, and you know that given the opportunity, something would probably play out, right? If that's not there, and you have the tension from the relationship is over, and you guys are co-parenting normal, if we wanted to go to Tennessee for the weekend and take the kids to the zoo out there in Gatlinburg or the aquarium, I would not be opposed to going, hey, I know you're off this weekend. You guys want to shoot up to Tennessee with us? I'll pay for everything. You guys can stay in the room next door to us and we can go to the aquarium together. The kids can have a good time. That's healthy.
Yeah.
It's good for the fucking kids. Those vacations together like that, if you can be civil towards each other, is not a bad thing. When you realize that all that you're doing is being civil towards each other for the kids, you can be civil. You don't go to work and like fist fight the coworker and fucking throw things and smash the break room because there's somebody there that you don't like. You put on a smile and you fucking fake it.
Yep.
So if that's what has to happen in order for your kids to feel like they've got a good and peaceful environment, that's what you need to do. You can have your conversations when the kids aren't around that needs to be had. As they get older and need to understand the conflict that happens, that needs to be had. They can understand it because then they can learn conflict resolution. But that shit takes time.
Yeah.
Jarbink says, how do you go about creating a peaceful connection with the stepkid's mom? So assuming he's the dad, I don't understand the whole stepkid's mom thing, but so he would be the new dad. She would be, right? The new dad.
Is this a woman asking?
I don't know. That with the stepkid's mom, I'm confused on. So answer that and I'll come back to it. Any advice on situations where the other parent is difficult or combative? You don't have to engage in combat. That's a choice. When your phone rings, you don't answer your phone ring because your phone is ringing. You answer your phone because you are getting an outside stimuli telling you that there is somebody on the other end of that phone that wants your attention. You don't pick your phone up and go, hello, when it's not ringing because there's no reason for you to do that.
Right.
People with caller, now the caller ID is prevalent. Most people don't answer the phones anyways. They'll look at the phone and be like, yeah, I'm not answering that. And they'll put the phone down. But you have a decision to make when your phone goes off. When somebody engages you in conflict, you have a decision to make on whether or not you're going to engage them. When people engage with me that are not in a point in my world, in my existence that requires me to give them that back, I will just not answer them.
Yeah.
I will let them say whatever they have to say and I will not respond. And when they're like, I'm sorry, I hit you with that, I'll be like, cool, I'm not doing that with you. I appreciate your apology, but I'm not doing that. I don't owe you that anymore. I don't need to have those conversations with you.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. I don't owe you shit anymore. But when kids are involved, you have to be involved for the kids. And then you can hit them with that. This is no longer about our child. I'll talk to you later.
Mm-hmm. If they call you and you don't want to answer the phone, just text them and say, can't talk right now. Is the kid okay?
Right.
If the answer is, it's not about the kid, all right, dope.
Right.
I don't want to hear it.
In that, if the other parent is difficult as well, you could just simply ask them, like, hey, I noticed that every time we try to have conversations about John Boy, there's always a tone of fuck you in there. Have I done something recently to slight you? Or is this past trauma that you haven't worked through yet? Because I understand you could still be hurting. I've moved on with my life. It's been years. I assumed you did as well. If something else has happened and there needs to be conflict resolution, we need to talk about that because our child is going to see this conflict and we want the best outcome for our kid. I'm assuming that you feel the same way. So let's talk about that. What?
Jasmine just texted me and said that Princess just walked into the room and goes, that's Mommy and Chris.
Oh, they're watching?
Yeah, they're
That's
watching.
So in that scenario, it really just comes down to figuring out what the root of the problem is and trying to work through that like adults. Somebody asked, how do you handle being put in the middle of your divorced parents when they fight?
What do you mean being like they bring you into the conversation?
They didn't say, just being put in the middle when they fight. If your parents are divorced and you're a child, you don't really have a choice. Unfortunately, you're going to be in the middle of that because one parent is going to use you as a tool and weaponize you against the other parent. You need to pay attention to that and see which one is doing it so that you can form your own opinion. And as you get a little bit older and can articulate yourself, you talk to that parent. I've noticed that this is what you're doing, and it makes me feel like you are weaponizing me against dad. That's not okay. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't like the way it makes him feel. I can see that it's hurting him. When the conversations are over, I can see that you're still hurting too. What you're doing is not helping the situation. You might get in trouble for doing it. They will probably hate on you a little bit, but that goes a long fucking way. That's super important.
I wouldn't take sides.
I wouldn't either.
But
I also wouldn't allow them to weaponize me.
Yeah.
If mom what?
I don't remember.
That, as a kid who's been in that position, that is a very difficult thing.
It is.
As a young child, because you have no fucking control over your life. You are at the whim of whatever bullshit your parents want to put you through.
Yeah, there was a point that I hated my dad, and I didn't understand why I hated my dad.
Yep. Stephanie Corliss, who is a green name, said, I have a question. My fiance has a weird relationship with his daughter's mother, although she didn't use that term. He turns to her if he needs anything, and it's weird. Like when we got into a fight, she came and picked him up, and he stayed the weekend there and tried to say that he was there for the kids, but knowing how they are together, he always runs to her, calls her baby love, etc.
Nope.
That's a whole lot of issues. The first part of that, before I read the love, if they were together for 10 years or 15 years, they have a history together. There's going to be a closeness there.
Right, but he shouldn't be talking about their relationship to
that
her.
Goes too far. Calling the pet nickname shit ends when divorce happens. You should never do that to somebody that is not your significant other. There's not a question there. She said, I have a question. Fiance has a weird relationship with baby mama. He turns to her, explained the fight thing, and then said he calls her names. There's not actually a question.
If they just want to be together, they should be together.
Right.
I would confront him about that.
I would too. I would sit down and be like, look, these are inappropriate behaviors.
Are you wasting my time?
Right. There's a lot of questions there, Stephanie. That's a lot. Jasmine Ramirez wrote, I'm going to throw this question out there because I feel the advice would help, but how does one start communication with the kid's mom, stepmom perspective?
Just extend an olive branch.
Yep.
Say, I want to be friends.
I mean, isn't that how that worked for you guys?
That is how that happened.
Yeah. So for everybody that's watching, Jasmine is the other woman. She's the stepmom in this equation, and they are very close. And we have a great relationship with them. So like that comes down to just being the cool person and being like, hey, I'm in the kid's life now. And like, I want to have a relationship with you. And if you're okay with it, I'm just letting you know that I would like to try to establish some sort of foundation between us.
I waited for her to reach out to me because I didn't want to seem overbearing.
Right.
Or like I was trying to start shit.
Yeah.
There are a lot of crazy.
That's actually healthy too, though.
Yeah. There are a lot of crazy mothers out there who are vindictive, like the one in that email. Yeah.
I think it's super dope that you guys are close the way that you are, because it makes times of tension easier, because when you and him are frustrated with each other, she's there. Mm-hmm. And I know that in the event that it got too bad, I could just talk to her. Like, they're really fucking going through it right now. What do we need to do to like fix this? Because you have all hands on deck. Mm-hmm. And it's a healthy fucking scenario. But to answer her question, I think that just like you said, that simple olive branch extension goes a long way. And then from that point, you may have to come out of your comfort zone and be like, hey, what are you doing this morning? I have it in a free hour. You want to get Starbucks? You want to meet up at Target? Or like,
yeah, her and I go on mom dates.
Yeah. Or be like, hey, I'm going to take the kids to the park on Sunday. Dad's not coming. Do you want to come and hang out? Like those small extension of a hand, like, hey, let's do something together, goes a long fucking way in the long haul. And it creates an open communication between the two of you where you can send other things like, hey, I just got enrolled in school, or hey, I just won $20 on a scratch off, or I
Yeah.
fucking curbed the car. He's going to be pissed. You know, like
Right.
that shit goes a long way. Do you have anything else on that one? I love the relationship that the two of you have.
Me too.
I really do. $50 super chat from Lorraine said, "Thank you for being an inspiration on this topic and love seeing different topics aside from normal emails. We love seeing a difference being made in our community. To be a better nation, plug welcome newbies."
Hell yeah. Thank you.
The plug welcome newbies is her telling me I should be like, "Hey guys, thanks for watching if you're new here. And you should check out Patreon and our Discord and all of that fun stuff. And while you're here, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and do all the fun stuff that YouTubers tell you to do, because that's what we have to do to keep this thing going." Abigail Ellis, she said, "How do you handle being put in the middle of the divorced parents when they fight?" She then said, "They fight through me, like tell your dad XYZ.
Ooh,
Well, tell your mom ABC."
No, I ain't telling them shit.
That is such a fucking problem.
What are you, a notebook?
Right.
Are you a cup on the end of the string?
You are putting your kid in a very, very fucked up scenario, because as these things happen, not only are they learning to say horrible things to their parents, they are going to create a negativity bias towards their parents, to both of them, because they're having to say hateful shit.
Yeah.
And you are ripping your kid apart from the inside. So when that starts, that's your answer. If you are the child in that scenario and they say this, tell dad this, say no, I'm not going to do that, because in me telling him that, I am now getting involved in an adult conflict, and you are making me have a negativity bias towards both of you, because as you two bicker, you are drawing me into it. You guys are going to make me not love either of you the same that I have. I should not be involved in your conflict. I swear to God, if you hit an adult with that shit, it's going to be like cock slapping them.
Yep.
They're going to be like, "Where the fuck did that come from? What just hit me, and why is my face sticky?"
Yep.
They're not going to know what to do. That's going to be a very, very big fucking scenario. Like Stephanie Collins, Corliss, I'm sorry, said, "Sorry, my question was, what is your opinion? I have confronted her and him. How do you get on the same page for, say, like, I love him and he has changed a lot, but Sam is still an issue because she allows him to be this way, and she left him originally because of the same stuff he's doing to me, but is now condoning it." There was multiple messages.
That's too much. I wouldn't even try to navigate that shit.
I would point out to her in this scenario, if I were you, I would be like, "Hey,
this is why you left him."
She said, "I've had this conversation with him and it changes for a short while, and then he goes back to doing the same thing." So let's cover that first. If you were in a relationship with somebody and you address your grievance and the change happens, you have to positively reinforce that change. If you don't, it's going to revert back to habitual things, because it's no longer on the forefront. If it does revert back to the habitual things, you address that. "Hey, I noticed that you're slipping back into your previous behavioral patterns. I would really like to make sure that we stay on top of this new change, because I would like to instill new habits so that we have great life moving forward." That has to happen no matter what it is. It doesn't matter if somebody's drinking milk out of the fucking carton and you're like, "I hate it when you do that. Don't do that." And 2 weeks later, you catch them in the fridge. Hey, we talked about that. Like,
You trying to tell me something?
no, because I drink out of the milk carton too. We sat in the kitchen the other night like fucking stone monkeys,
Yeah.
eating cookies and drinking milk out of the carton. So
We did.
things you need to tell her, like, you guys aren't together because of what he did to you, and he's now doing it to me, and you're condoning the behavior. You are instigating that. Are you trying to get him to pull away from you because it's creating conflict in our homes?
Do you want him?
And then and then ask him that. And if not, be like, "Then I'm gonna need you to respect our boundaries of our relationship, because he's too big of a coward to say something, or he's okay with this going down the way that it is." And then after that conversation is what happens with her, you then need to address it with him. I've already talked to her about it. She knows it. This is a boundary now. So if she continues to do it, not only is she overstepping your boundaries, she's now overstepping mine and being disrespectful to me. And if we're in a relationship and I'm a priority to you, or I'm your husband or your wife, I should be the number one priority here. I'm telling you that this is a fucking problem, and if it continues and you do not resolve it, it's going to create conflict in our home. Do you want conflict in our home? Do you want to be with her, or do you want to be with me? Like, that conversation needs to be had. And it doesn't have to be shitty. It can be had in a very diplomatic way with kitty gloves that gets your point across without being hateful. All right, if there's any super chats, go ahead and send them, Zeke, because my iPad's about to die, and we'll answer the super chats, and then we will shoot over to YouTube or to Patreon and do the private chat Q&A hangout shit. Wolfsbane's workshop. What if the other woman doesn't accept the olive branch? My ex is vindictive, and my current significant other is friendly, but it goes nowhere. Sometimes that's just going to be the way that it is. People are going to be vindictive fuckfaces, and you can't control that. You just have to continue to extend that olive branch, and you have to do it over and over and over again until eventually their barriers come down enough that they can understand that you're just trying to be cool with them, and fucking hope that that change happens. Lived experience.
Yep.
It will eventually fucking happen. It's just going to take a whole lot of work. And in the event that it doesn't, you are the bigger person in that scenario. So 10 years from now, when they're like, why have we been at odds all this time? You can be like, well, we've been trying to extend this olive branch for the last decade. You've spit in our faces over and over and over again. And we've been the bigger person. We've tried and tried and tried. And now that it's been 10 years, we're not trying anymore. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to like dangle it over their head, but you could. In the event that like it was ever like, hey, why aren't you trying anymore? You'd be like, well, I have been. Black Phantom, $20. Just want to say, as a first-time viewer, your TikToks are helping me with how my life is currently going. My life's been rough the past 3 years, so y'all's TikToks have helped. Keep me going, and y'all keep being amazing, you two. Yes, we will. We will continue to be amazing as much as we can. I like that we're still getting new people.
Yeah, that's super dope.
Yeah. Dahlia said, hashtag flush-weighted potato. That was really hard to try to read.
You nailed it.
Pikachu said $20. Said $20. How chat feels about a vindictive co-parent. Hashtag flush-weighted potato. I missed the sentence above between the chats. Guys, it's I know that it is very difficult to deal with somebody who has a revenge mindset, because you, in being the bigger person, I could hear that going off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's clicking. In being the bigger person, you are not always going to come out smelling clean. Sometimes you are going to get shit on, and that's just the way it is. And eventually you're not going to want to do it anymore. And when you decide that you don't want to do it anymore, give it another month. Be like, I'm so fucking tired of this. I'm tired of being shit on. I'm tired of trying. It doesn't get me anywhere. Just give it another month. Give it another 6 weeks. And if at the end of the 6 weeks you really still feel that way, give up.
Yep.
But give it a little bit of time past that point where you feel like you really want to quit, because that could be the last 2 inches before you strike gold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just give it a little bit more time. Trucker Steve. What's up, Trucker Steve? He said, I, Jason Gray, do hereby profess my love for my wife, Marlena Gray. Thanks to you guys for all you do. Y'all have helped so much. I love that.
That's cute as fuck.
I feel like we're like singing telegrams.
Right?
Yeah. That's cool. That's actually pretty fucking cool. Gift givers. We're getting gifts, and so are the significant others. I love that.
Getting it shout out to hundreds of people.
Yep. All right, guys. You're going to get like 5 more minutes, then we're going to shut down the stream and go private. So if you have any other questions, now's the time to ask them. I enjoy these way more than recording.
The lives? Yeah.
Because like there was a moment where somebody asked a question while we were recording it, and it allowed me to think of something other than what I was thinking. And you and I think a lot alike anyways. So like there's times where I'll get stuck and you'll finish what I was saying. Like not just a word, but like the whole sentence. So you know where my head is. So when somebody hits me with something I don't think, or when you hit me with something I don't think about, like it really makes me like slow my perspective down, because my train of thought is so fucking quick.
Right.
That like sometimes I'll forget what I'm saying mid-sentence and be like, I don't remember what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking ahead. So when those things come through, it makes me feel like I have a panel of people in my ear. I feel like a news anchor.
Yeah.
Don't say twat. What? No, I didn't say twat. Arika, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was getting ready to read a super chat.
Go ahead.
Arika Hill said, I have honestly been going through a lot the past 3 years and watch your TikToks and YouTube videos. They really help me try to improve how I approach my relationship and when to finally walk away. I think that when you set your boundaries clear and you have all of those expectations laid out super early on, the option for you to walk away is going to be set. They will know that it's there, and they will never push you to that point because they will be afraid of losing you.
Yep.
Do you want to elaborate on that before I move on? Because we just got two more. Colin Husky said, just want to say thank you guys. I'm a truck driver and binge watch all the videos and have been really working on myself. Thank you.
I love that.
I do too. And I love that. So I have an affinity for truck drivers. My adopted dad and my brother are both truck drivers. And I know for a fucking fact that our country would not exist if it wasn't for the work that you guys put in. So like, I don't want to say that I view you guys the same as veterans, but that level of respect is there because I know that without truckers, we would have no food, no water, no gas, no milk, no nothing. Like that shit, you guys do a lot to keep our country going. So it is appreciative. Aubrey Newton said, what energy drink are you drinking? I am drinking a First Form, and it tastes like cough syrup, even though that it never did until I got sick. And now that I'm sick, the purple one tastes like cough syrup. And it never did.
Yep.
I am a First Form addict. Like literally, I will drink 2 or 3 of these a day, and I buy their clothes and I buy their protein bars and and I'm not paid by them. I am a fucking fan of their shit. Andy Frisilla has the Real AF podcast, and it is the only podcast I listen to besides my own.
You listen to Tim Ross.
I listen to him for Christian content on YouTube.
Oh,
is
that different?
Yeah, I'll actually listen to Andy. Like I'll listen. I'll put that on when I take a shower and get ready in the day, or if I do cardio by myself, I'll listen to Andy first and then move to my audiobook. Like I enjoy his content. So I try to support his business because, fuck it. Stop that. Cough when I cough. You can't do that. You have to wait.
What the fuck are you gonna do about it?
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
Complain. Make weird things happen on the internet.
Okay.
Like memes. I don't know. I got one. What about having resentment in a relationship? Resentment is an envy emotion. So if you resent your partner, it's because something's happening that you wish you could do. So if you're the worker and the person's a stay-at-home and you resent the stay-at-home, it's because you wish you could stay at home. And if the roles are reversed, it's because you wish you could work instead of staying at home.
I'm going to hit you with something.
Just don't hit me too hard. I don't feel good.
So, do you think resentment can build up there if somebody witnesses an intimate moment in public and resents the fact that they can't have that with their partner because of whatever is being weaponized? Like sex.
I need you to... I don't understand the weaponized sex part.
So
I got so yes on the public intimacy thing, absolutely. But the why I don't understand.
Say that the woman is weaponizing sex.
Okay.
You can only have sex if you do what I want.
Right.
And outside of that, no touching. There's no intimacy. So say a man's out in public and sees a younger couple where he has his arm around her waist and she's up cuddled up and like they have that thing going on. He's like, I want that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in that aspect, the envy is there because he wants what they have, and the resentment is built there because she's weaponized. So yes, absolutely. That's also going to kill intimacy to a point where the man is not going to engage anymore, and that will lead to either a divorce or cheating. That weaponizing sex thing is a problem across the board. I don't give a fuck what anybody says about that. Like, that is not something that should ever happen in a marriage. I don't care if you're too tired or you have headaches or you've worked all day or whatever the fucking problem is. Like when your intimacy fades and you use it as a reward system or as a tool to get what you want, your marriage is over. It just hasn't ended yet. That's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
I also think that if you see a couple in public and they're hugged up kissing and you go, damn, I missed that. And you don't stop what the fuck you're doing, engage with your woman or your man and be like, see that over there? I've missed that. And then lay one on them. You're just as guilty.
Yep.
Vanessa Espinoza said, parenting styles keeping your chill during tantrums.
What?
Parenting styles keeping your chill during tantrums.
Keeping your children in tantrums.
Chills. Keep your chill. Like relax during a tantrum. So like if your kids are having a fucking tantrum, instead of freaking out that they're having a tantrum, you stay calm.
I stand there and I look at them.
Yeah. I kind of make fun of them a little bit. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, do you like laying on the floor? Is it cold down there? Do you see what you're doing? Like, I will.
Yeah. When one of the kids is throwing a tantrum, I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to look at them. And they're going to look back at me and they're going to be doing whatever they're doing. I'm like, okay, so we can take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And I'll start taking my deep breaths because I'm getting ready to lose my shit and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm taking my deep breaths. And if they're not taking their deep breaths, I will walk away.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, you are not ready to tell me what is going on. I can't help you if you don't tell me what's going on. So when you're ready and you stop crying, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And I walk away.
Yep. Our son had a meltdown the other night over Easter egg candy.
Yeah.
And he went and sat in the corner by himself on like outward in the corner and just full fucking meltdown. And I was like, oh, are you mad that you can't have candy anymore, that you just ate so much of it? And like, I really antagonized that. And then when he stopped crying, I was like, are you done? Because I didn't throw your candy away. It's on the fucking counter and you can have it tomorrow. You just can't have any more of it tonight. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, you want to go back in the living room now, watch TV with your mom and your sister? And he's like, yep. And he just, but I gave him a hard time about it because the more I messed with him, the more he stopped crying to listen to what I was fucking saying. And once he realized his candy was on the counter, not in the garbage, he was fine.
Yeah.
All right. Android 64, $20 said, me and my wife are both watching the stream in the same room, but I just wanted to say, she's the best thing ever. I love you, Kylie.
I'm loving this.
I am too.
I am here for this.
I am.
I don't want you guys to tell me anything. Tell your partner something.
Abigail said, update to my wife's email. She sent, I wanted to say thank you for being you and helping both of us love your content. I don't know what email that it was, but fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sweet cactus ears. Do cactuses have ears? Is that a thing? Is that a part of a cactus called an ear that I don't know about? Am I not smart? What if it's not about work, but about emotional abuse? Because can't you hold resentment over what a partner does to you, especially if it crosses boundaries multiple times? That's not resentment. You guys, resentment is an emotion that stems from envy, bitterness, animosity. There are other words that can describe what you're trying to say there. It's not resentment. When you say resentment, I hear envy in my brain. So that scenario is not, and that's not envy. If you said, but what if it's not about work? But what about emotional abuse? Because can't you hold animosity over what your partner does to you, especially if it crosses boundaries multiple times? Yes, you fucking can. Because you're openly admitting your frustration. Donald D said, my wife and I love having been here since the beginning as followers and supporters. You guys, it's wild that we have people that followed us from TikTok as just normal commenters that followed to lives, that followed to YouTube and is now on Patreon and on Discord.
Yeah.
We've been referring to you guys as our OGs because you've been here since the beginning. There's about 15 of you. And we fucking know you guys and we recognize your shit. It's super dope. Great Wolf Tactical. Y'all hit that like button and share the content. He subscribed to the member for a month on YouTube. So he's now a member on both platforms. The Hidden. What's up, Luca? Have you guys ever had to let someone go because you know it would never work, even though they're good for you, but just can't at that moment? If so, how did you deal with it all? Bro, there is the right person at the wrong time. There's the wrong person at the wrong time. There's the wrong person at the right time. Sometimes shit is just not okay right now. And that's okay. Sometimes you're going to find the right person and you know that you're going to fuck things up because you haven't done the work and let them go. Because all you're going to do is damage the situation. You're going to fucking hurt when you could just be like, hey, you're an amazing person. I would fucking love for this to happen. I'm not okay right now. And until I get my shit together, we can't move forward. Doesn't it work that way?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm really fucking going through it and I would love to have something with you, but I need a little bit of time to get my shit together. And then a relationship happens. And then an amazing relationship happens. And then a ring gets dropped. And then there's multiple vacations and trips across the other coast when it's freezing outside, newfound religions and podcasts. Because we went through that and you fucking waited until I got my shit together.
Yeah.
You talk about it. You guys, I know that it's intimidating to have the hard conversations, but those hard conversations will garnish respect from people. If you are honest with somebody and tell them what the fuck is going on and they really like have a thing for you, they're going to view that emotional maturity as like a gold star. Like they're going to recognize that you're on top of your shit and it's going to make future things a lot easier to deal with. I am Zan. That's the chick that won the print.
Photo.
Yeah, I went to her Instagram and saw it. She took a picture of it on her front porch.
Yeah.
I think it looks fucking good.
Look
I still haven't bought one for myself. She said, I guess I've been withholding sex from my boyfriend for over a year because of his drinking and not spending time with our autistic son. So the issue there is that you are withholding sex, but not the main issue there. The main issue
that's
there.
a reaction to an action he is doing.
Correct. And it needs to be explained as such. I have lost intimacy in our relationship because of the amount of drinking that you're doing. I am having issues with the amount of, or the lack of time that you're spending with our son. I understand you have stress. I understand that you have things going on. I would like to try to fix our relationship because right now we're in a roommate phase. And the next step from a roommate phase is either to regain intimacy or initiate a divorce. So, would you like to try to regain our intimacy and you stop drinking or drink less and spend time, make a concerted effort to spend time with our son or
Right.
with the two of us? Or would you like to start initiating a divorce process? And this is not a threat. I'm not putting it on the table. I'm telling you that we are at a fork in a road and one path is going to lead to one of these two things. And we have a decision to make. If you're like we are and divorce is not a discussion, then the drinking thing is going to be the only discussion that's had. We are in a roommate phase. I have lost all of my intimacy for you because you're an alcoholic and the amount of drinking that you're doing is making me have animosity towards you. I do not enjoy being around you. I do not like it when you're home. I don't like who you are when you drink. I would like to find a way to find my husband. I need you to quit drinking or slow down. If you need to go to AA meetings or you need to have some sort of support system, I will gladly do that. I will even find the meetings for you if that's what it takes. Yep.
So it's been almost 2 hours and we still have to do the Patreon only.
Has it been? Holy shit. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. All right, so we're done with this one. That's good because my iPad is at 6%. Guys, if you are on Discord, I will post a link there probably within the next 5 or 10 minutes for us to do our private. We're going to take a pee break, refill some drinks, and probably have a makeout session because you look pretty fucking good over there. And then we will be linking for the private one. So everybody that's new here, thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and hit the bell and all of that fun shit. And we just got another chat, but I'm not going to read it because my iPad's dying and we're going private. So it was not a super chat. We will see you guys on the next one.